and thank you to all of our frontline service men and women who have done an extraordinary job, from the SES to the police to the rural firefighters, and everyone in between, the volunteers, the council, the state member in his office. Everybody has worked tirelessly around the clock to do everything they possibly can to keep this community safe. So now as we enter into the recovery phase, it's great to see that some of the money is going out to individuals, so around $900 for a family and $180 for an individual. But what's very clear to me today is that businesses need the support. Having spoken to Mel and Ken that own the painting business shop in town, to looking at Westpac, they're trying to get some mobile facilities here to help because they're going to be out for a while, to the women working in the jewellery shop and the coffee shops. Obviously, it's a bit of heartache at the moment, and I can understand that this is not the first time it's happened to them, this is the second time. So this community is so resilient. I'm absolutely so proud of the people here, and to have that unprecedented amount of rain in such a short period of time, and people are now just getting on with the job. They're able to come out of their homes, they're cleaning up, and I just want to thank everybody who is working hard to ensure that people get back onto their feet. So in terms of rapid assessments, I can advise that yesterday Gympie and Bundaberg and parts of the Fraser Coast were being looked at for their rapid assessments. Today the focus is on Maryborough, Glenwood, Rowena and Theebine, and those assessments will be happening, and we'll be making sure that we can work out exactly what extra support is needed. I'm advised about 380 customers are out in Maryborough at the moment, and of course businesses are not out, but we've spoken to the Ergon and Energex crews, and they're out there trying their hardest to get power up as quickly as possible. I understand that the food supply chains are coming back in, which is great, and that Queensland Rail will open at 6 p.m. tonight as well. As with disasters of this scale and magnitude impacting this particular region, the Fraser Coast region, we always have a disaster recovery coordinator. And I'm very pleased to say that this person who I'm going to announce is no stranger to the Maryborough region. I have asked Paul de Jersey, former Governor of Queensland, to come back from his leave to actually help with the cleanup. Now, Paul retired from being Governor. He's been here many times. I think Bruce will attest that he's been visitor to this region whilst he was Governor, and he has accepted the position of being the recovery coordinator for this community. So out and about, talking to people and making sure they get the supports that they need. So I might hand over to the Commissioner to say a few words, and before that I might just add, with the tropical cyclone, it's wonderful to see that we are not hearing of any bad impacts of Tropical Cyclone Tiffany. It's been downgraded now to a low pressure system. It could reform over the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll be monitoring that very closely. So I'll hand over to the Commissioner, then the local member, the Mayor, and then we're happy to answer some questions. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you, Premier, and good morning everyone, and what a pleasure to be in Maryborough to talk to everyone and to visit the businesses that have been impacted. Can I sincerely thank you to the local member and the Mayor for giving us an insight as to what happened here a couple of days ago. From the very first night when there were downpours of 650 mil, it was an extraordinary response by everybody. Police, fire and rescue, rural fire service, all emergency services and the community have rallied together, and it has been absolutely tremendous response. A sincere thank you for that. As you know, we are still searching for our 14-year-old child who went missing a few days ago in floodwaters. That search will continue with the assistance of SES, QFS as well as police. We had another incident this morning on the Mary River near Tyro, a family who are out looking for their stock. Two female persons are okay, but unfortunately they got into strife, and a male person, a 52-year-old male person, is currently missing. So we are also searching for that person. Can I please ask, do not go into flooded waters. Don't cross those causeways at all. The message is always, if it's flooded, forget it. Also, don't go into any flooded rivers at the moment. It is still flooding, and as you can see, tragedy can strike at any time. So please don't wander out into those waters until it completely subsides. The Premier has touched on the cyclone. Thankfully, it has been downgraded in the Cape area. There are gusty winds of up to 60 to 90 kilometres around the Pompeia and Kawanyama area. It will cross into the Gulf of Carpentaria, and we are advised currently it will move on, reform into a cyclone and move on into the Northern Territory. So thankfully, in that part of the world, all seems well at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. Thank you, Commissioner, Mayor. Look, this has been a tremendous response, and I'd like to thank the Premier for, during the weekend, the Premier was in constant contact with me, her office, anything they possibly could do. The response from the emergency services has been outstanding, from the Fraser Coast Regional Council, from QFES, from the police, from the rural fireys, from everyone. All the years I've been around in politics, I've never seen such a coordinated response from emergency services in my life. It was just absolutely fantastic. And when the gate gave way, the Fraser Coast Council never gave up. The men who worked there worked tirelessly through the night. And now with the clean-up with the rural fireys, with the SES, with the police, it has been outstanding. And Premier, you couldn't have picked a better person than the former Governor, Governor de Jersey, as the man in charge of the response to the clean-up and to making sure that businesses get back on their feet. As we know, former Governor de Jersey went to school here at Maryborough, Albert School. So, and he knows Maryborough quite well. He was quite a frequent visitor last time he came. I think the Mayor and I both asked him, would we put him on the roll, because he spent that much time in Maryborough. But you couldn't ask for a better person to run the recovery, to be coordinator for the recovery. And thank you, Premier, and thank you for your swift action, and from the Cabinet to what's happened here in Maryborough. And this is what a good government does, responds to the people. And Premier, thank you on behalf of all the residents from Maryborough.
Thank you, Premier, Commissioner, and the Assistant Minister, Bruce Saunders, a member from Maryborough. I want to thank the Premier and Bruce and the entire state government for the way they have helped. We have relied on many different agencies, the police, QFES, and right now as you walk around Maryborough, you'll see SES taking medication and food over to Granville, which is still isolated. I've been to the Granville Bridge this morning. It needs significant assessment before we can ensure it is safe to cross and reconnect Maryborough and Granville. Around town right now, you'll see the rural fire brigades from Tanana, Dundowran, Burn Heads, Aldershot, everywhere coming together to help ensure our CBD, and much further afield, because this involves much more than just our CBD, to get back to normal. And I can't think of a better person than Paul de Jersey, somebody Maryborough and the Fraser Coast and Queensland is extremely proud of. So I don't think, Premier, you could have made a better choice in Paul de Jersey. But I just want to thank everyone involved. We have had marvelous support from the police. We got Superintendent Michael Sorey here, QFES, everybody. I'm so proud of our community, how we responded over those days. We suffered a significant setback in the middle of the flood before it reached peak when the water came under the levee. But our Fraser Coast Council men and women really fought back to get the water back out and over, and you had so many businesses, friends, relations, strangers helping out with sandbagging. But now we're out across the community at places like Tyro, Glenwood, Rowena, which we need to ensure that people can get their lives back to normal. But again, thank you to all the volunteers and everyone out there helping with family and friends, strangers and neighbours.
Happy to answer some questions.
So, Paul de Jersey obviously has experience in the Maryborough region, but what experience does he have in disaster recovery?
Oh, he'll be able to hit the ground running. I've known Paul, I've worked with him very closely. He's no stranger to the regional community, and he'll be aided by our Reconstruction Authority as well. So he'll be out there talking to people firsthand.
Just for the Commissioner, just read the search for the 14-year-old girl. We were told this morning that's now entered a recovery phase. Are you able to confirm that, or is it still an ongoing process?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I can. Sorry, I'll get some more detail to you. But I think it is still going, but at some stage we do get advice around survivability, and it may be scaled down. So if that advice has come in, that would be the case. But certainly we know, and we have experts that advise on this, that people can only survive certain days. It may be scaled down, but certainly to this point there has been an extraordinary amount of searching going on for that child.
And the gentleman that went missing, sorry, you said he was looking for cattle?
So what happened this morning, a family, as you'd expect, were out looking for their stock, obviously to see whether they had survived the floods, and they got into strife whilst on the Mary River. That gentleman is 52 years old. He is currently missing, and now an additional search is going on for that. Thank you.
Premier, do we have any updated information on how many homes and businesses have been flooded?
Yeah, to date, we've got the Reconstruction Authority here that are actually doing the damage assessments as we speak. But so far, from their rapid assessment team, there are 50 businesses impacted and 31 residents, and the total damage assessments is around 138. Severe is 3, moderate 31, minor is 48. So they'll be, of course, when they can get to people, and like we've said, we've got some communities that are isolated, so they're here doing that. That number's going to increase. So it is a significant event. It's a significant event, and it's had a big impact on a lot of people.
When do you think we'll be seeing the Mud Army coming out helping people?
They're already out here. I mean, you're already seeing people out there today. You know, it's all hands on deck to help out, and that's wonderful to see.
And you yourself gave it a go this morning as well?
That's right. I didn't want to waste any water though, so I tried my hardest, but I think there's experts in the field.
Have we been able to get contact into those isolated communities now?
Yes, there is contact, and once the isolation ends, we'll be able to get in there and do those assessments. Can I also add too, we've been advised from Coles that they're expected to arrive and be in store on Wednesday, and there's extra food to also cover the Woolworths outage as well. So that's great to see that our food supply chains have kicked in really quickly.
I'm sure you've heard people are having issues already with insurance companies.
Yes.
What advice do you have?
Yes, look, we'll be looking at that very carefully. I'll keep the Prime Minister informed as well. We've got National Cabinet coming up. But in terms of, I think, the priority now, we've got those individual grants. The priority is to look at those business recovery grants and those loans.
Do you know how long the Woolworths is going to be out for?
I don't at this stage.
How long do you expect this recovery effort's going to take?
Oh, look, everyone sometimes thinks it takes weeks, but recovery takes months. So we'll be working very closely with Bruce as the Assistant Minister, the Recovery Coordinator, our Reconstruction Authority, and also the Council.
I know there's a COVID update coming a bit later, but just your thoughts on the Prime Minister's comments that pushing school back a little will do nothing, and the best medical advice is to push through.
No, we've acted on health advice. I always act on health advice, and can I just say a big thank you to all the parents out there. I went to the vaccination centre yesterday speaking to parents, and they're extremely thankful that that has been pushed back by 2 weeks.
Premier, in this we're also hearing a lot of people concerned that they weren't given enough time to prepare. The Bureau of Meteorology didn't predict this was going to be.
They couldn't predict it. It was beyond their control. It was such an unforeseen rain event where the Bureau explained it just sat above the region and it didn't move. It was almost like that monsoonal event that ended up happening in Townsville that people remember a few years ago. It just didn't move, and no one can predict that. Can I just say too, I just wanted to do a big shout out to the Wide Bay region. 94.6% first dose of COVID and 90.6% double dose. And can I also say too that the Gold Coast has also hit that 90% single dose too. So it's good to see that the numbers are increasing on the Gold Coast. But from the Fraser Coast point of view, they are the second highest of regional Queensland. And I really want to do a big shout out and thank you for everyone who's come forward and got vaccinated. Secondly, if you haven't got your booster and you're due, it is really important you get that extra layer of protection, and also too, the children can get vaccinated. So please book in and get your children vaccinated.
Does Queensland support restricting PCR testing to vulnerable groups like healthcare workers and aged care?
Sorry?
Does Queensland support restricting PCR testing to vulnerable groups like healthcare workers and aged care?
Everyone's moving towards the rapid antigen tests, and more supplies coming in, and eventually, look, that's detecting whether or not a person has COVID. Yep.
Just on the Gold Coast,
Yes.
Are you concerned about COVID parties happening to spread immunity? There's worry about it's putting added pressure onto the local hospitals.
I'll get the Chief Health Officer to address that, but we are very concerned with the spread on the Gold Coast. A lot of people are ending up in our hospital wards, they're ending up in ICU, and what we want to see is more people on the Gold Coast wearing their masks. Just because you're on holiday doesn't mean you can't get COVID.
Commissioner, are there hefty fines for people who are found to be holding these types of parties?
Yeah, there will be. And
Sorry, Commissioner.
sorry, let's do that again. Disappointingly, what we've found on the Gold Coast is a lot of people are not wearing masks. So we've run a number of operations over the entire Gold Coast, including Pacific Fair, and predominantly it's people visiting the state. So can I please ask that you wear your mask, and we will be as compassionate as we can about this, but at the end of the day, if it's blatant disregard, you will be fined. And particularly, you know, parties where you're just blatantly disregarding the directives, people will be fined. As I said, what we have found, and we specifically asked people where they came from, so we had a sense, was it the local people, was it people visiting the state? It was predominantly people visiting the state. So can I please ask that you wear your masks, otherwise you will be fined. We're handing out 200-300 every single day, and it should not be the case anymore. Thank you.
Premier, another COVID question. In your opinion, how do you think how Indigenous communities and population are going at the moment, and how well equipped are they for the surge in COVID?
Yeah, look, I've addressed this in the past. We've been out there, both the Commonwealth and the state government, urging people to get vaccinated. I said very clearly the other day, do not listen to what's on social media websites that are telling people not to get vaccinated. Please go and get vaccinated. It's absolutely important that that happens. Okay?
Just one from the Mayor as well.
Yep, sure.
Sorry.
Last one? Yep.
How much damage are you hearing is in some of those isolated communities in terms of infrastructure, that sort of stuff?
Well, we're just down in Glenwood yesterday, and a brand new road has been completely torn up. There are and there's places we haven't been able to access yet. I think there will be significant damage in places where you have 700 millimeters of rain in a day. You're going to have road damage. So I think there'll be a lot around Glenwood, as well as further west.
And you went to Granville this morning. How are the residents there holding up?
Very, very well. I got the boat over to Granville this morning. I met with a number of residents. Obviously, they're very, very keen to either get a bridge over Little Tanana, or which will probably come first, for the Granville Bridge to get connection back into Maryborough. But they're very, very good. People are prepared, and we've got the SES making runs back and forth with all the essentials.
And do you have any idea as to how long it's going to be for the Granville Bridge to open? Days, weeks?
No, we don't. I mean, it's physically possible to cross it right now. I just walked across it with council people and Main Roads checking it. It's about ensuring the structural integrity of it, and also Lower Kent Street. All the gravel that was in the downer yards is now 20-30 centimeters high over the road, over Kent Street. So there's a lot of work to get Kent Street reopened as it approaches.
Okay, all right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.